Our food is safe. CFIA is on the job. Members at the plant are on the job, getting the job done.
Agricultural Minister Jerry Ritz assures the House and Canadians that food is safe, but a tainted meat controversy is rocking Alberta and the country. 4 people are sick after eating E. coli contaminated meat. Steaks from in Edmonton Costco. The steaks apparently came from the XL food plant in Brooks, Alberta, but it's still unclear where the steaks were contaminated with E. coli, at the plant, at the Costco. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has already issued alerts on more than 250 different beef products from the XL plant foods in Alberta after E. coli was found in a shipment from the plant. Now here's the nub. American officials actually first found contaminated shipments of ground beef from XL Foods back on September 3rd. Then they warned Canadian officials, but the CFIA didn't order a recall until September 16th. Agriculture Minister Jerry Ritz is still assuring Canadians no tainted meat has reached store shelves, that the proper steps were followed, and yet apparently the plant has already asked certain stores to recall some products. So is there product out there that's tainted? Are more Canadians about to get sick? Joining me now to find some answers, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture, Pierre Lemieux, NDP Agriculture Critic Malcolm Allen, and Liberal MP John McCallum. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Referring to one batch, but when the minister is telling Canadians the meat is okay and no batch went out, and then more people get sick with E. coli, what message does that send, Malcolm? And what questions do you have here?
Well, clearly, Evan, what we saw was that the Americans actually told us on the 4th, after they had seen a contamination of E. coli, and they didn't have a presumptive test. They actually said it's E. coli, and so they sent it back. They received additional shipments after that again from the same plant, saw E. coli again, and then simply delisted the plant. They notified CFIA. CFIA then went to work checking the paperwork at the plant and started to find deficiencies. So it's not as if, as Mr. Lemieux would have us believe, that somehow you do a test today, you get a result in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. Because if we do, we're in a lot of trouble when it comes to food safety, if indeed it does that. Well, actually, you said it was a presumptive test, and it took 2 weeks to give us a, well, presumption should be that we make sure that E. coli doesn't get out. Clearly, CFIA has said, and you know, I looked at their website today, Evan, and the CFIA on the 24th of September talks about the fact that the stuff went into the marketplace. So beef left XL. They don't know if it's contaminated for sure or not, but they're certainly recalling 250 products, and they've been recalling it now. This is the 6th recall in a matter of days over the last week or so. They're behind the lag when it comes to actually making sure that beef was safe going out to consumers. We see illnesses occurring in Alberta, where the health authority has said folks have contracted E. coli. So now the system is, how do you track it back? And that's where the minister is behind the curve. This is what happened in 2008 when it comes time to actually figure out what happened. The listeriosis crisis was it took all of that time to finally come back and find.
How can you readily assure Canadians there's no link?
You can't.
That you've done the job.
Absolutely, Evan, you cannot. And here's the issue.
The recall process.
Here's the actual issue. The issue is really this. And we just heard what the minister said on Tuesday. It was actually the question I asked him. And what he said was none of it got to the store shelf. False. That's false. XL says it's false. He didn't say first batch. Now we're trying to play with words like they try to play with science.
On the September 4th
the reality is that
contaminated
food left XL's plant, got on store shelves across this country. The minister spoke incorrectly when he said that. He then went on to talk about, well, we've got all these people in the plant, whereas CFIA actually says, well,
it would be fair to play Malcolm's question and the full quote from the minister. That would be fair.
They're actually talking about, we checked the paperwork that the inspectors did from XL. So the CFIA inspectors, the folks that are really truly trained, that are professionals on the job, were actually checking paperwork after XL had done some inspections. And that is because this government went down that road for the CVS system.
I got Thursday.
E. coli. What is being said is that CFIA is onto this. The minister is on to CFIA. There's a recall going in place. And as a government, we've brought in additional funding and additional inspectors. And at this very plant, as I mentioned earlier, the inspection staff have gone up by 20% with no thanks to my colleagues from the opposition.
You say, just last question. Does the government know where the contamination happened? Does it know if there's still meat on the shelves that's tainted and if Canadians are safe? Do they know answers to those questions right now?
The recall is underway right now.
The
recall is underway right now, pulling it off the shelves. That's what a recall is about.
It's called in process. We don't know exactly whether it's out there or not, and that's the response.
This is Roadkill Malcolm speaking.
All right, I got to take a break. Listen, we'll come back tomorrow. We'll find out what the latest on this tomorrow. Gentlemen, I invite you back tomorrow on Power and Politics to continue this discussion. I'm sorry to cut it off today. Pierre Lemieux, Malcolm Allen, John McCallum, thanks so much.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Point of order standing by, Nancy.